Well, that's right. Josh Sitzer, yes, the same Sitzer who filed the infamous commission lawsuit against the entire real estate agent community, now launched a flat fee real estate startup and wants to partner with those same real estate brokers and agents that he spent 4.5 years fighting in court. So super interesting. Dominic, I'd like to get your initial thoughts when you saw this come out.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first thought was, welcome to the jungle, baby. I thought it was a little duplicitous, but you know what? It's America. It's a free country. He just won a $500 million, billion-dollar lawsuit. I guess he can't really just jump on his yacht and head to the Caribbean and sail off into the sunset, since this was done under the guise of looking out for the consumer, right? So there's probably some level of feeling like that they've got to now demonstrate that all of this was to benefit the consumer, and this is his way of doing it. And I just don't know. We're going to get a little bit deeper into why this business model is probably wrought with trouble and likely to fail. But those are my initial thoughts. I was laughing, really, like Josh Sitzer is now going to open it's not a brokerage, it's a platform. Right. It's a platform. So those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, mine too. I was just like, of course. Of course. Yeah. It just only makes sense. You spend the last 4.5 years fighting this industry just to get into it. So anyways, it's really interesting. So what I first want to do in this episode is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to dive into what this new company has to offer. But the way in which you get there, I found this really, really interesting, and we'll get into this. So the company called Landian, right? And if you go to Google and you type in Landian, you see the first thing in their headline is to buy a home without a traditional realtor. Okay, interesting. That's what they're putting in their marketing and their advertising, because we're going to talk about why I think that's going to be a huge problem for them in just a second. So if we go to their website and we go to the FAQ, we can kind of look and see, okay, what is this thing really all about? What's being offered and how much does it cost? All right. So their whole argument on this thing was that real estate agents just charge too much and they're inflating costs and price fixing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what they're going to do is they've launched this flat fee company where they charge tours for $49 per tour, paid upfront with no further obligations or commissions. Then they have what they call agent written offers for $199 per offer sent. Then they have what they call their AI powered offers for $99. Their exclusive agent package, which is $1,800 flat commission paid at closing, that includes up to 5 tours and 2 offers. Okay, fine. Let's talk about this for a second. There are so many, like, I don't understand, Dominic, if I'm an investor or however they're raising capital, I'm like, well, did you think about this? Did you think about, I got all kinds of things that it's like why this thing is going to crash and burn. It's just not going to, it doesn't have any legs. And I'll tell you from my perspective, the number one thing, the most glaring, obvious thing is this model is dependent on local, traditional, licensed real estate professionals to execute on what's being offered, and they are making it loud and clear that they hate realtors. And so how is it that your entire business model is built on being able to deliver on a promise by partnering with the people that you just fought in court for the last 4.5 years, that you are clearly don't value, but you want to partner with them? I don't know of an agent or a broker that's going to say, oh yeah, we would love to partner with you, Mr. Sitzer. After what you just put us through, sure, we'd love to partner with you. I mean, I don't know. Am I missing something? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
No, exactly. So my thoughts were, I looked at the same kind of a la carte offering that you did. I'm thinking, all right, so first of all, how are they going to collect $49 per showing? What agent is going to partner with them? Because I'm guessing Landian doesn't do it for free. So they're going to have to split that $49 a showing with a local professional agent. So my first thoughts were, okay, which professional local agent is going to run out and show a house for half of $49, $25, and then turn around and write an offer that has any hope at all of getting accepted for half of $199? Like, well, I don't know what the split is going to be. And then how many of those half of $199 does Landian have to do to make this a profitable venture?
Okay, it's you and I are just so spot on. What's interesting is that we see this the same way, and we didn't spend any time talking about this ahead of time, and we see it the exact same way. So let's look at what you just said. First off, the home tour, the $49 pay as you go. Okay. In order to execute that, to your point, you have to find a local agent who's willing to show a property for $25. Okay. Well, how many of us have put in our company Facebook groups, hey, I'm going to be out of town this weekend. I got a client. I'm paying $100 per showing. Did you have just crickets? It is so hard to find an agent to show a house, let alone for $100. We're talking about $25, but hold on, it gets better yet because you got to split that with your broker.
Yeah.
So hold on. I know. So hold on. So now you have to have a broker. First off, the arrangement between Landian has to be with a brokerage. It can't be with a specific agent, right? Just like any referral type company.
Correct.
And so now you have to have a broker who signs a contract to partner with this company to take on all the risk and the liability. Think about what I just said. From the person who just sued them for the last 4.5 years. And then them take on all this risk and all this liability and put all this trust into this company for $25. And then so watch, most agents are on average, it's a 30% split. So the brokerage is going to sign up for $7 to take on all the exposure, yeah, right. Show me the brokerages that are going to sign up for that.
Yeah, I must be missing something because have they heard of E&O insurance?
Exactly.
Who's paying that?
Oh, well, yeah, it's just unbelievable that this company has failed to look at the very first thing to make this thing work.
Yeah.
Like, I would be interested to see, and I try to go on their website and like go through the tour process or whatever. You got to like do a bunch of stuff. And I don't know if they even have an agent signed up for this thing. Like, how would they even execute on this thing? Anyway, that's one problem.
Yeah.
Again, just going deeper on the second problem, which is why in the world why would the brokers sign up for this to take on all this exposure when we know agents wouldn't even do this right now for a lot more money? They won't even do it. And so then the other big assumption, the other big problem is this business model makes a major assumption. And the assumption is that traditional buyer agents will be unable to secure their compensation through an offer to the seller. Because here's, and I've been pretty loud about this, my belief is that sellers, for the most part, will still continue to pay buyer agent commission through the offer negotiation. And therefore, if that continues to happen, you and I just talked about that this morning, if that continues to happen, then Landian actually becomes a more expensive option because they're positioning that this fee is all out of pocket. When if I'm going to represent a buyer, I'm going to say, Dominic, you're not going to pay me anything out of pocket, my friend. I am going to go and negotiate on your behalf and get my compensation from the seller. And if I succeed, great. And if I don't, I'm willing to take that on as a risk. I know some agents aren't willing to, but Landian is saying, no, you're agreeing to pay me upfront guaranteed $1,800 or X amount of dollars for 5 showings. I don't know about you, Dominic. You and I have been in this business for a long time. You know, and I know it takes a lot more than that to get a buyer to find the right home.
Yeah. Why would a buyer take that risk? Why not hire an agent with a good reputation who's been around for a while and knows the neighborhoods, knows the areas, and who will take you out and show you as many homes as necessary to get your offer accepted on a property that you actually want without any money out of pocket up front? Like,
that's right.
Zero.
Yeah. Landian becomes the more riskier thing. Like, how is this better for the buyer? And so that was the other big downfall. And
so another question about that Landian business model. I mean, if you hire somebody for $50 to go show you a house, or do you get the same agent for every $50 showing? Or you just get some random assortment of agents? Because I tell you what, when we're out looking at property, a lot of times clients will ask, hey, how do you feel about this compared to the one over on Dearborn? Or how do you feel about this one compared to the 3 that we looked at last weekend? They want your professional opinion about that. And if you looked at 5 different houses with 3 different agents, I think you're losing a little bit there.
Yeah, that was exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. Based on what I've seen, it's going to be multiple different people. And so, like, if you want true representation, you don't have like, you'd have one person. That's who you're deciding to do business with. That's who you're trusting to deal with this largest financial transaction of your life. When you go and hire an attorney, you don't have like, okay, one day you got this attorney, one day you got this attorney, and they got to learn your case all over. No. You got one person representing you. But to your point, who are these agents going to be? Redfin just came out and said, listen, we tried that and it didn't work for us at all. And the reason for that is because they had thousands and thousands and thousands of negative reviews. Because if you think about who's the agent who's going to sign up for a $25 showing, right? Get 70%, so $17 a showing, who is going to be the agents taking those calls? Is it going to be the person?
Say it, but I won't say it.
Yeah. Is it, well, I'll put it this way. Is it going to be the most experienced, the best negotiator, the person who knows the market the best, the person you would want to represent you in your largest financial transaction? I don't know. Call me crazy, but I'd make the argument, no, it's probably not going to be that person. And so you say, well, who in the world, Landian, did you just send me to show that house? You know, they got no teeth, you know, I won't go down that path, but this thing has holes all through it. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'll tell you what, it just popped in my head. You know what I'm going to use Landian for? Lead gen.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet their $25 people and I'm going to show them the benefits of having a full-time professional real estate agent on their side.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do with Landian.
There you go. I don't know. It was laughable to see that this, number one, happened. And then two, as I started to dig deeper, I'm like, it's very clear that A, you don't understand what it means to serve somebody who's buying or selling a home. Super clear. And then B, you really got to test your business acumen, because there are so many holes in this thing. If I'm sitting on the other end of the table and they're trying to raise capital and I'm a potential investor, we just asked simple 3 or 4 questions in a simple podcast. Who are we? That, like, I would never give this person any money to build this company. It's like, you didn't think about any of that stuff, dude. You didn't think about like the actual person. When you go on your website, Mr. Landian owners, and you say someone's going to sign up for a $49 tour, that you're going to have to connect them with the local licensed real estate agent, and you're going to split that somehow. Did you not think that you'd have to have somebody actually wanting to do the showing for $17? And not only just the money, did you not think about why in the world would anybody want to partner with you after you've just put this industry through absolute hell for the last 4.5 years?
Yeah. Well, I'm not really sure how they're going to go about raising money for this. Right now, it looks like they haven't raised any official extra capital. They've just got a few friends and family that have pitched in. They're talking to some venture capitalists, but I think if they take a closer look at the numbers on this, unless I'm completely missing something, but Redfin's a pretty big concern as far as a real estate company goes. They tried it, and I bet you they put a ton of capital towards making this work, and I don't see how a venture capitalist is going to look at something that failed a few years ago and just do the same thing over again for cheaper.
Exactly. That's such a good point. Companies that have tried this before, their flat fee was greater than this, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, how are the numbers going to make sense? You know what I mean? And not only that, what's the client experience going to be like? What are the reviews going to be like? Who are going to be the agents actually executing on this stuff? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I don't know if this was more of a, you know, hey, now that I've won this huge lawsuit, I'm going to go and, you know, do this thing to make a statement more so than actually make a real business. Perhaps that's the reality. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the ultimate virtue signal, I think, because I just don't see how when this business model has been tested, best I can tell, not much differently from Redfin's model, how they're going to actually get this to work. So I guess the question, Brandon, is how do we get here? How do we get to a place where people feel emboldened to try something like this?
Well, I guess the thing is, it's not new. I think you have a good point. This is not new. I mean, people have been doing flat fee offers for years, 30 years, 40 years. I mean, this is just not new at all. The thing that's interesting about this is more of the who is doing it. That's the story here. The what is irrelevant. I mean, it's so non-innovative. It's so non-threatening. It's so it doesn't do anything for the consumer that we haven't seen before that's proved to not do better for the consumer. I mean, it's like one after the next, after the next, after the next keeps trying to do these things, and the consumers continue to speak. The consumers continue to get local, traditional representation in the masses. Yes, there's a small sliver of the consumers that do this model. Yes, there's a small sliver that do for sale by owner. Yes, there's a small sliver that do these little iBuyer things. Yes, there's going to be a small sliver that maybe does this landing a couple times. You know what I mean? But if you look at the masses, and this is the voice that matters, you are still seeing the vast majority of the people in this country choose, because it's a choice, they choose to hire a full service local real estate professional to handle their real estate needs. And there has been billions and billions of dollars pumped into the industry to try to disrupt that forever, including this lawsuit. But people still continue to make a choice. And for the
why do you think that is? Why do people, when they could go to Landian and theoretically get this done for $1,800, why, or whatever Redfin was charging, $2,000, why hire a local professional real estate agent to do this the traditional way? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's like anything else. I mean, you would ask the question, okay, well, you can go to grab fast food, or you can go grab a steak dinner so it's like, well, why would you get the steak at Morton's Steakhouse when you can go to McDonald's and get their steak sandwich? I mean, it's the same argument. Why would you, it's like, why would you buy a Cadillac Escalade when you can go get a Chevy Equinox? It's the same argument with all of that stuff. And the reality is, it's because people value true expertise. Why do people still hire attorneys when there's LegalZoom or whatever it's called? What is it called?
Just going to use that example. It is LegalZoom. Exactly right.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to, because it's like, well, people want professional representation. That's why. If you're going to put trust in a professional to help you through a difficult time, why do people go to CPAs when there's TurboTax? Now, is there a certain segment of the population that use TurboTax and love it? Of course. But does the savvy entrepreneur use a CPA? Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep,
and so it's like, it's the argument of like these people just trying to say, okay, here's a professional service that we're trying to disrupt. Can we do it cheaper? And for the vast majority of the time, yes, some people will take you up on it. For the vast majority of people that want really good representation, they don't go to LegalZoom. They go and hire an attorney. When they get a divorce or they're facing a tough legal battle, they go and hire the best attorney possible, right? Same thing with your health. There's not a person on the planet that needs a doctor for whatever reason because they're going through a tough health issue and go and try to go, how can I get this the cheapest way? No. That doesn't even come into the equation. It's like, I want the best person to do this for me. Yeah. And no matter what these people do, Dominic, it's my belief that most people they have that worldview. It's like, I can go the cheap route or I can go the best route. And so depending on that person, depending on what it is that they're going through, a large portion of people will always choose value over price.